To get into some of the week's top business headlines with me is a familiar face, Dr. Teriba, CEO of Economic Associates, where he leads ongoing research and consulting on Nigeria and global economic outlook. Thanks for joining me, Dr. Teriba. Good to see you again.
Thank you very much.
So I'd like us to start with the Naira. I mean, the volatility is a bit worrying for me. We saw a rebound and we saw the Naira gain up to 710 Naira by Friday yesterday on the parallel markets. And then the Fitch downgrade happens. So it's kind of bittersweet. What is the outlook for the exchange rate now?
It's good to have a bit of good news, from the Naira, given that people became apprehensive as it journeyed towards 900. And late this week, it dropped below 700 actually. Oh, okay. 670 or so. That's good news. But let's hope that trend persists. So you've had a few weeks of, weakening, now followed by a few days of strengthening. Let's hope that the strengthening is the one that gets sustained, and that will be a good relief for Nigerians who have had to grapple, with rounds of devaluation. Fitch, the rating downgrade is a timely reminder, that many of the fundamentals, the external financing fundamentals, or fiscal fundamentals, or debt fundamentals, still need to be addressed. You can't have weakening fundamentals. Fitch is the third voice, from the external environment. First it was Moody's, then it was S&P. It was first S&P, then Moody, and now Fitch. So it's saying to us Nigerians that we should address the points they are flagging. Weak external financing, weak fiscal situation. You can kill the two. The president's proposal is right before the National Assembly now. The president is proposing to issue 10 trillion more in debt at home and abroad. Why debt? Why not issue equity?
Yeah.
Because equity could solve the debts, difficulty, solve the revenue difficulty, and ease the forex difficulty.
Yeah. Before we even sort of dissect the Fitch issue, I need to sort of take you back a bit on the Naira strengthening.
Okay.
So what are some of the things that need to happen for that strengthening, or stability at least, to persist with regards to the currency?
Yeah. Exchange rate stability comes down to one factor: foreign reserve adequacy. If our foreign reserve level keeps dropping, do not expect sustained strengthening of the Naira. So you want to see a stable Naira, or you want to see a strong Naira, achieve higher threshold of external liquidity, that's foreign reserves. And your best shot towards that is attract foreign direct investment.
Absolutely.
And that could take you where you want to be in a matter of months. That's the message. It's the same solution, to the fiscal situation. It's the same solution. Replace debt with equity. Government should allow foreign direct investors to buy some of the shares in the companies that we own 100%. And that eases the fiscal situation.
And so I have to ask you, we've been hugely dependent on oil prices and oil exports for a while. And oil prices have actually held up relatively strongly over the last, for most of the year, actually. So the question is, there's still many fundamental structural issues that go beyond oil prices that the country hasn't been able to effectively tackle. Are you confident that we can do anything significant in terms of reforms over the next 6 months, for instance?
The Fitch report specifically flagged the issue of huge subsidy payments. That yes, government got more from the improvement in the oil price, but then had to, give out more on subsidies. So leakage, basically. you could curtail that. There is oil theft. Among other things, there are waivers, and this, dual exchange rate itself, is a drain on, government's finances, because it's a subsidy for those who get, some preferred rate. Now, can we reform in 6 months? I cannot speak on behalf of the government, so maybe we get a chance to ask the people in government, I hope. Can you do it? Yes, you can do it. Yes, you can reform in 3 months. Will they do it? They will be the best.
That's another
place
different question.
To answer it, yes.
Probably does take quite a lot of political will. So let's move on from Nigeria to the COP27 discussions. We're talking about this new figure, yet another new figure.
Yes.
$1 trillion that will now be needed in climate financing.
Yes.
What really baffles me is where this money is meant to come from. Of course, developed countries have commitments to the global south.
Yes.
But a lot of that doesn't seem to be materializing, does it?
Right. It's not a departure from Nigeria. It's actually
relevant to the
a
country.
Major opportunity for Nigeria to engage with the rest of the world, with the global community. And I am quite glad that there was a good focus on Africa in the conversations, at the COP27. And there were clear messages like Africa presents huge opportunity that is comparable to what investors should expect in Europe and in the Middle East. And that in Nigeria, it's not about, the story of Nigeria is not about abatement. The story of Nigeria is about the unmet demand for energy is huge. And so you could look for a way of meeting that, shortfall in demand through cleaner energy like solar or gas, and that they are already spending a lot on self-provision of energy. So the market, the capacity to pay for energy is there. But they emphasize Africa is not looking for aid. Africa is not asking for donations. That Africa is an investment proposition. Nigeria can jump in at that, and make a stronger case. They are speaking on behalf of Africa, occasionally giving Nigeria, as an example. But Nigeria should tell its own story. Most countries came there to tell their own story. Nigeria should highlight the investment opportunity here. And it's not that we will borrow to fund. We are looking for foreign direct investment, which ties with the conversation that we've been having.
And in fact, one of the things that has really come up with regards to the climate financing is the debt sustainability of many developing countries. And it's not even clear what form this financing is coming in the form of loans. Is it grants? What are your thoughts on that?
It's the case is more for investment. So how we will be able to package the opportunities, presented by the fact that those who are connected, to power in Africa are not as many as those who are not connected to power.
It's about 60% of people who don't have access to
electricity. And, the option of, connecting to the grid and some modular solutions, as solar-based, case by case, which creates employment. It creates, people need to install, people need to maintain, and the rest of that. So I hope Nigeria can jump at this because it's an opportunity that's never going to go away.
Yes, indeed. And of course, the government recently announced the energy transition plan with a target of net zero by 2060. Let's see how the COP27 talks go.
Well, it happens yearly. So we should go and strengthen our proposition. Rather than we quoting what was said about Africa, let's also put some issues about Nigeria on the headlines.
Absolutely.
Year in, year out.
Yeah, we need to be on the agenda, certainly. I have to talk about this Meta story, formerly Facebook, laying off staff. We also saw actually last week that Twitter had laid off staff. Is there a re-engineering in the social media space from an industry perspective, or is this more of a global issue around high turnover?
Very good. It's a global problem. And of course, it shouldn't surprise anybody. We've had a year that's been dominated by geopolitical tensions. We've had a year that has been dominated by inflation, rising to levels not seen, in about 2 decades. And some countries, Nigeria, Ghana, are not alone in the exchange rate volatility. So all of that, will impact corporate performance, not just in tech sector, but across, all sectors. You can have exceptional cases if you are a company that is able, in this whole crisis, you're able to launch a new product like Apple. So they are rising.
You have to keep innovating
against the run of the game. But it's not just Meta, it's also leading Nigerian companies. If you look at what has been happening to them, the market shares, on the stock exchange, it shows that the costs, the increase in costs, and disruption in global value chains because of the war in Ukraine is beginning to bite into their books.
Yes.
The only thing that reassures is that, 2 years ago we were talking about the pandemic that led to total lockdown. But thanks goodness, it was temporary. And so will these cost pressures from the geopolitical tension. So it's not going to be a permanent thing. Endure it while it lasts. It will go away, and things should rebound just like it did after the lockdown.
Yeah. Challenging times for industries around the world. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Teriba. It's fantastic
Thank you very much,
speaking to
Rolake.
us.
Thank you.